This podcast conversation is very fun and a little bit different from some of my other ones. It's with two different people, the wonderful couple that is Jimmy Star and Ron Russel. I did it in a more interview style where I asked them similar or the same questions and kind of edited both of their answers together. I had a lot of fun doing that. I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. I hope you'll stick around to the end. Please, while you're here, give this video a preemptive like because it helps my channel, and I'm sure you're gonna like this one. I was looking at your IMDb and it's like, oh my goodness, Jimmy's been in like every movie ever.
I've been doing it a long time. I'm not really a good actor. People put me in movies primarily because of my promotional skills and the fact that our show, the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russel, is so popular.
Hello and welcome to this podcast conversation of the Epic Kate Show. Do you know why Jimmy Star chose the name Jimmy Star?
Oh, because he thinks he's a star. There's no question about it. He's an egomaniac. He's a narcissistic person. And he absolutely said star. And I tease him about it all the time. I said, you really got some face to call yourself Jimmy Star. He said, well, I mean, you know, that's Jimmy. Everything to Jimmy is big. A little person could be in a movie on television and he'll say to me, oh, he's very big. I said, Jimmy, I never even heard of him or saw him before. Oh, well, he's a big star. He's very important. So Jimmy makes everything out to be famous and big.
What was your first impression of Ron?
Super hot.
What did he look like when you first saw him? Like, what was the thing that caught your eye about him?
The first time I ever saw him, he was walking through the Boca Mall and he had on a white linen pants, white flip-flops, and a white t-shirt and no underwear. And he was like walking through the mall and he was just gorgeous. He looked like a supermodel, like movie star. And I thought, oh my gosh.
What was your first impression of Jimmy?
I hated him. I thought he was an idiot, and I was going to call the police. I was walking in the Boca Raton Mall, all right? And he comes up to me and he said to me,
oh my gosh, you're the most gorgeous man in the mall. And he told me to get the fuck away from him, you weirdo. Or something like that. I don't know exactly what he said.
Firstly, I was upset because I said to myself, why does he think I'm gay? That he would even come up and ask me such a question. And the second thing is, this one's a real nut job. And I kept walking.
And what did you think when you heard when he said that?
I kept following him around. He was literally like stunningly gorgeous.
So
like I had never seen anything. So I kept following him around and he was like trying to get away from me.
So it just his times of telling you to leave him alone, you just didn't even hear it.
Yeah, I didn't hear it. I don't really listen to people anyway. Like I'm a relatively, I'm pleasantly assertive. Like I'm not a jerk, but when I'm trying to do something, I'm relatively like assertive until I get what I'm going for.
Yeah, that's one way to do things. And it worked.
It worked. That's right.
And am I allowed to curse on your show?
Go for it.
He said something else and I said, get the fuck out of here. In Brooklyn, my Brooklyn tough New York accent.
Out of here.
And I went up the escalator to Bed Bath & Beyond, where I was looking for a comforter for my bed. And I look out the big glass wall, and there he is at the bottom of the escalator, waiting for me to come down. Now I thought, this is a nut. You had to see what he looked like. He didn't look like Jimmy now. He had turned up shoes. He had jeans on where they were ripped at the crotch with underwear sewn in to show. He had on some weird shirt, 50 earrings and feathers, and he was a rocker. He looked like a rock star because that's what Jimmy did. He designed clothing for rock people, and he designed very interesting clothing. And I came down the escalator and he started to talk to me, and I said to him, if you continue, I'm going to beat you to death. In 2 minutes, I'm warning you, I'm going to punch you all over this mall, and don't think I'm kidding and don't think I can't do it. And he just looked at me with an expression, and I kept walking and I left the mall.
How many years later did you get married?
Oh, it wasn't that, probably only a year.
Wow.
Let's see, I think I met him in like August. Maybe I think I met him in August and we started officially like dating and stuff in October, and we got married a year later in the next October on my birthday. We got married on my birthday.
What a great birthday present.
Yeah, it was great.
because I was being stalked by this weird looking thing. I thought he was like a bag person or a nut. Couple of weeks later, the guy I was dating, Burton, we were in the mall and there's Jimmy again. I said, there was this guy live in the mall. And he came up to me and he said, please don't get angry, but my name is Jimmy Starr and I have a radio show and blah, 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 blah. And I said to him, okay, my name is Ron Russell. I said, and I have a television show. It's out of California. So we chatted and chatted. And I said to him, my daughter Deirdre is doing a benefit for the CEO of Costco, and they want their entire house decorated for Halloween and all horror stuff. And we need an undertaker. So I said, it pays $100. Would you like to be our undertaker? And he said, yes. I said, well, we're having a dinner party at my house on Thursday. It's a traditional actor's dinner party of spaghetti and meatballs, which is a poor man's meal, but we eat it for luck. Anyway, I went to the set a couple of weeks later, and as I walked into the room where the corpse was, and this corpse, by the way, rose from the coffin and flew up to the ceiling. It was a wonderful effect they did. And standing there is this really handsome man in a blue suit with a white shirt and a tie, really good looking. And I said, oh my God, that's the freak from the mall. So the freak shaved, he took the earrings out, and he was gorgeous. And he came over to me and I said, if you look like this, I said, I'll go out with you, I'll date you. And then we started dating, and that's how it happened. We got married a year and a half later, and now we're married almost 10 years. That's the whole true story.
I am so glad I asked. What an amazing story.
Well, I mean, you know, rockers I love. I have a lot of friends that are rockers, but not for me. My life is totally Ralph Lauren. I dress that way. I live a very different life. I don't live like a hippie in a dumpy apartment with weird stuff around. I live, you know, nicely. So I thought there'd be nothing in common. But as it turns out, Jimmy now only wears Ralph Lauren, and he looks wonderful. And he's with his beard, he's the handsomest man in the world. He's really handsome. No, he really is good looking. And when he smiles, he's got a beautiful smile.
Hmm.
You know, he's very direct and to the point. And so sometimes we might, you know, get ourselves in trouble because he's so direct, but not really very often. We've had a couple events that we went to where people started a fight with it. Like we went to an event where some guy started a fight with him, and then the guy pushed him on his shoulder like this and called him a very not nice name. And I think he thought Ron would back down, and this is when Ron was like 78, and the guy was probably 50. And instead of Ron backing down, Ron just took a thing back and fucking punched him in the face. And the guy went fucking rolling down the steps, nose all bloody and everything. And we got kicked out, even though we didn't start it. We got kicked out of the party. He got kicked out too. But the guy was, you know, being rude and called Ron some terrible things, and then pushed on him. And you can't push on Ron. It doesn't matter that he's 81. He's from Brooklyn. You know, he's like tough. And so he punched a guy, and the guy went flying down the steps on the ground.
Wow.
It was actually very funny, but
Talk about epic.
yes, it was epic.
The best part of my career was knowing Jane Russell, the movie legend. Jane Russell and I became the dearest of friends for 20 years. We were like brother and sister, and we loved each other very much. We traveled together. We stayed in each other's homes. We shared secrets. We talked about our hurts and our loves and our happinesses. She was a wonderful, wonderful woman with a great heart. She was very tough in her personality, but so am I. And Jane and I just had so much in common. I think we were related in a past life. But anyway, I miss her every day. I mean, like now you're talking about her, I miss her. And I'm so sorry that Jimmy has never met her. She passed away before I met Jimmy.
So hard to lose people.
Yeah, well, special people.
So how would Jimmy answer this question? What would he say is the best part of his career, your shared career?
Oh, I would say what he's doing now, he's a wonderful producer, and he's got some really interesting films ready to be funded and shot. I'm in a couple of them, but like I always say, if you sleep with the producer, you get the parts.
Yay.
Anyway, I would say est the moment. Jimmy right now is in a wonderful place. His show is a TV show is a great big hit. 3 years in a row, #1 web show in the world. His career as a producer is happening. He's meeting lots of interesting people through me. I would say right now it's it.
Right now it's just it's all the best favorite part.
It's right now it's the moment. Yeah, est.
I love that.
The best part of my career is the fact that I don't have to work for anybody. The best part is I work from home. I have an office. I collect action figures and monsters and toys. So I have an office full. Every inch is covered with like action figures and toys and celebrity pictures and stuff. It's a very creative environment. And the fact that I just get up every morning and take a shower and go into my office and I produce movies and I do all the publicity work and I work on our show from the comfort of my home. And if I need to stop to go to the bank or do something, I don't have to worry about it because I work for myself. And I really think that that's the greatest, gift that you can ever have, is not having somebody telling you what you have to do and when you have to do it. I still put a lot of pressure on myself, because I have lists of things that have to be done and they have to all be done, but it doesn't have to be done while I'm at work. I could go in at 11 o'clock at night and do it if I want. I can do it whenever, as long as I get the things that I have committed myself to do done, I can do it whenever I want to do it. And I like that a lot.
Freedom.
Yes, freedom.
I love that too. I'm also working for myself. I'm a freelance editor, so I'm editing for other YouTubers, and it's
good
and,
for you.
and of course my own channel. But I don't get any money from that yet. But maybe someday. No, someday for sure. Someday it's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
So many of the people that Eileen's been connecting me to have been talking about that. It's like this theme that keeps coming up is living in the moment.
Well, if you don't live in the moment, you live in the past. And if you live in the past, you have no future because you're too busy living in the past to create a future.
Yeah.
I'm 81 years old and I don't give up and I don't give in.
I would not have believed that if I knew. You must be telling the truth, but I would have thought like 60 or something.
Oh yeah, well, that's good. I like that. We'll do that. No, I'm 81. I do look good for my age because I lived a good life. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke, and I don't drink. I eat well. I eat healthy. I exercise. I do everything I guess that humans should really do. And I believe that you look what you eat. If you eat junk, you're going to look like junk. But eat well, lots of good vegetables, and drink lots of water, and be healthy. You look healthy. You have a blush to your face. If your face is gray and it's summer, you're lacking something. There's something wrong with your liver. Check it. Check your body. Know your body. With all my health issues that were wonderful, I just had a triple bypass. And I didn't understand why. And I said to the doctor, why did my vessels clog up to 80%? He said, it's hereditary.
Oh.
So you have to be careful. You could be as healthy as you can be. Tab Hunter, do you know who Tab Hunter is, the actor?
No.
Tab Hunter was a very famous actor and a very good friend of mine. And I saw him 2 weeks before he passed away. Tab Hunter ate the right food, exercised, was 86, looked 30, magnificent in every way. And he got a blood clot in his leg and it went to his heart and killed him. Also hereditary. So, in so much as we are healthy, we have to go back and find our ancestry and see what they died from.
Yeah. So
I don't want to get morbid, but
Oh, I'm not afraid to talk about death. I think people are too scared. Like there's too much. It's healthy to talk about these things that are normal. Like it's going to happen to all of us.
But they put a negative on death.
Yeah.
Me, I put a positive on it because death is the start of another life.
Yeah. What is the hardest part of your career?
It's very competitive. everything that I do is very competitive. We host a very popular podcast, but it's always very competitive. Before the pandemic, there was 750,000 podcasts. Now there's like 1.5 or 1.6 million. So in the last, year and a half, it doubled. So there's a lot more competition there. As an actor and as a producer of films, everybody's trying to get the next big movie and the next big role. So that's very competitive. And as a publicist, because we're relatively successful at it, everybody's always gunning, to try to do what we're doing. And so you always have to stay on your toes to keep improving and getting better and better so you can stay at the top of the pack. But it is difficult, but it's fun, and that's the nature of it, because it would be that way no matter what business you were in. If you're a lawyer, you got other people who want to be partner. If you're I don't know, if you're a garbage man, you got people who probably want to be the driver instead of the garbage man part. So there's always going to be, that type of competition. So it's like just a part of life, but it also makes it like the most difficult, I think.
Yeah, because the game keeps evolving. It's like I have 2 4-year-olds, and we get used to one stage of their development and we're like, okay, we can do this. And then they go and change and we have to change with them. It's really annoying.
Are they twins?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Boys or girls?
2 girls.
Good for you. You don't look old enough to have 2 kids.
Nice. I'm turning 35 on Monday.
Oh, no, I would never. Oh, happy birthday, but I would never guess that. I would have said 25.
I would never guess that your husband's 81. I was like guessing he would be in his 60s or something.
Yeah, he's 81. Wow. He looks fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yes, it's fun.
What is a little thing that Ron does that means the world to you?
Just being there means the world to me. Like if I've got problems or I need to talk about something, he's very affectionate. We actually watch TV at night, in our TV room, which is this room. I'm sitting this is the chairs. These are our like recliner chairs. And like we hold hands while we're sitting here watching TV, and so it's like the little things of affection, spending time together, us and our dogs, because we have 3 dogs. And I think that those are like the most precious moments.
I love it. Oh.
And Jimmy never really had affection in his life. His parents were very waspy and very cold and very strict. And the guy he was with before me for 28 years was another one that didn't believe in love or kissing or hugging or affection. So Jimmy went a great part of his life without people loving him. And I'm Italian, so all we do is hug and kiss and love and adore, because that's all we know how to do. It comes out of us. It's like olive oil. It just comes out of our pores. And I think he loves when I'm affectionate.
And what's something that he does for you that means the world to you?
Jimmy is a caregiver. When I was recuperating from my triple bypass, it was a 12-week recovery. For the first 3 weeks, I could barely walk or talk or breathe, because they cut your ribs open and they open your ribs, they take your heart out, they do what they have to do. It's a very serious surgery, which I'm completely healed. Jimmy had to have been the best person in the world. He served me hand and foot. He cared for me. He drove me to the doctors. He sat there. He listened, because I was out of it half the time. I didn't know what the doctors were talking about. He was absolutely the best partner, husband anyone could ever ask for. He was a loving, caring caregiver. That's what I love most about him. He's good to me.
So beautiful. I'm gonna cry.
No, we have a good relationship, seriously.
What is a story that he always tells? Because all of us couples, we like, oh, he's starting this story again. This is going to take about 4 minutes. Like, we just know what they're going to say.
Well, there are many.
I'm sure.
Mostly they start off with, I used to be a clothing designer. And then he goes into the story of who he dressed Elton John, he dressed Madonna, all of the famous people that he's dressed. And he likes to talk about that a lot, but why not? Dressing Elton John and Madonna, and I can't tell you how many others. I mean, so many more celebrities. He designed clothing for them, I want Girls Have to Have Fun. What was her name?
Um,
Cyndi Lauper. He dressed Cyndi Lauper. He dressed so many rockers, big rock stars.
that's
That would be the story he tells mostly.
what is the story that he always tells? Like, you know, when he's setting up for it, and you're like, okay, this is going to take about 5 minutes. I could go to the bathroom now, come back towards the end of it.
So one of his favorite stories to tell, well, so he was very good friends with Jane Russell, the movie star. And so he always tells either how he met Jane Russell or how he took her to the film festival and she didn't have a bra that fit right. And we used his daughter's bra, to make her fit right, or probably his two favorite like stories to tell. And they're really epic stories because, I mean, Jane Russell, for listeners who don't know who she is, she's like Marilyn Monroe. She was like one of the most iconic, actresses of her time. And she did Gentlemen Prefer Blondes with Marilyn Monroe, which is a huge, blockbuster hit movie. So I think that those are probably his favorite stories to tell because he misses her dearly. And unfortunately, I never got to meet her. I really wish I could have met her because she's such a legend and such an icon. But I think that that's probably the stories that he tells, the most. And sometimes he tells them a little bit longer than other times. But every time I hear him, it makes me happy anyway, even though I've heard him probably literally 1,000 times. But it's I see the joy in his eye when he tells the story and he's having such a good time. And that's important.
That's so sweet. You're so much nicer than me. When I would just get sick of hearing my husband's stories, I'm just like, oh, again.
Well, first of all, when he's telling those stories, it's always with new people. He doesn't tell them over and over again with me. He's not telling it to me, but we'll be maybe in a group of people or at a dinner or something, and a lot of people are new and they haven't heard it, and so I'm the only one who's heard it like a zillion times, but everybody else hasn't.
Yeah.
Unless you listen to our show. He talks about it on our show a lot too, because that's like his favorite thing.
I wish there were another 40 hours in the week, right? To listen to all the podcasts and interact with all the wonderful content out there.
Absolutely.
Jane Russell was very famous for her bosoms, okay? Her breasts. Jane Russell was only a 36B, but back in the 1950s, that was a big deal. Today with breast implants, everybody's a 49 double triple X, okay? So breasts are no big deal anymore. But back in the 50s, Jane Russell was considered sexy. Now I'm taking Jane Russell in Florida to Cinema Paradiso to watch the movie Gentlemen Prefer Blondes that she was in with Marilyn Monroe. And Jane was in an evening gown and she came out of the guest room and I looked at her and I couldn't help it, but I said, Jane, what happened to your tits? She said, what are you talking about? I said, they're down by your belly. She said, leave me alone. I said, no, tighten up the bra strap, get those boobs up. It looks terrible. She said, Ron, it's on the tightest it can go. I said, just a minute. I called my daughter, Leslie. I said, Leslie, do you have because she was a 36B also. I said, do you have a good push-up bra for Jane? Leslie said, I have a long line, push-up strapless. So Jane went in the bedroom, changed, and she came out and her bosoms were beautiful and young looking. So my daughter said, I will never get rid of that bra. And my daughter still has that bra. So that's a story I like telling people because they're fascinated how I was directing Jane Russell's breasts. But, they were low. She was 88 years old. At 88, they do sag. I mean, trust me. So she looked wonderful. In fact, there are pictures on my Facebook page or in YouTube of Jane and I going to that affair. And you see with her boobs up high in her velvet orchid gown, how gorgeous she was at 88 years old. She was a beautiful old lady. Beautiful.
So now I have to ask, did you meet Marilyn Monroe?
Never. Never. Believe it or not, Marilyn was before my time. Marilyn died. I was 22 years old when she died. And prior to that, I was not in the business. Well, I made my first movie when I was 19. I was with Sophia Loren and Tab Hunter in That Kind of Woman. And that's when I entered the business. And then Monroe died in 62. So the only reason why I met Jane Russell was I met Jane Russell at age 78 or 9. Okay. I never knew Jane when she was young because I was a kid. When I saw her in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, I was only 14 or 15.
Okay.
But I know a lot about Marilyn because Jane told me a lot.
Oh boy. No wonder you guys have a radio show. There's just so much to talk about.
Television/radio show.
Television/radio, sorry.
We are visual. We can be seen on everything that you've got. And for the third year in a row, we've been voted the #1 podcast show in the world.
That is
Which to me, and we've gotten so many awards. We were also nominated for an Emmy. I mean, whoever thought that our little show would ever become what it is? I'm proud to say that Jimmy and I are the first gay married couple to be on television together without being kicked off, because others tried and they got rid of them because they were gay. Jimmy and I, they found something about us together that wasn't really very gay. If we don't say it, you don't know it. And I think that's what they liked about it.
wow, that is a really cool thing to be able to say and acknowledge.
Yeah, I'm proud of that
Progress.
because of Jimmy and I being on television, a lot of gay people are standing on our shoulders.
Oh, that must be an amazing feeling.
It is, totally is.
When
Yes.
is the last time that he fanboyed about meeting someone? Are you familiar with that expression?
No, I'm not.
When you fanboy, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's them. Like you get like overwhelmed about meeting someone.
Did Jimmy ever get that way?
Yeah, or when did you ever see him that way about someone?
A couple of times, and I don't remember who they were because they were horror movie actors, very famous horror movie actors, but I don't remember their names off the top of my head. Yeah, if you're a famous horror movie actor, Jimmy will get excited meeting you. Definitely.
This is just what we do. This is what we do for a living. I mean, I get a big kick out of it because the fact that, you know, all the people that I used to see the movies in and stuff that I was younger and watched the soap operas and stuff, and now all those people come to my house for dinner. So for me, it's kind of like a pinch me. Oh my gosh, you know, that this has really happened, but it's a lot of fun and I enjoy it, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not all glamorous. You go and you make a movie, you know, you sit around for a zillion hours for them to work with you for 15 minutes, and then they sit you in a room for another, 4 hours before they bring you back out. So it's not glamorous like it seems, but when you go to the premiere, it's glamorous and it's fun, and you go to parties and all that kind of stuff. So that part's, the fun part.
So when was the last time, do you remember him just fanboying, just like being so freaked out about meeting someone?
He never fanboys except for once in my entire life. And we know a lot of famous people, believe me, like a lot. Like there's almost not a TV show that comes on that we haven't met somebody from it. But believe it or not, we were at a screening of a TV series in Pennsylvania when we lived in Pennsylvania. And there was probably 200 people there, and we were on different sides of the room. And all of a sudden I heard him screaming, Jimmy, come here. You got to come here. And I ran over there. I thought maybe he's having a heart attack. I had no idea what was going on, but it was like terrible. And he's like, this is Cathy Sledge. This is Cathy Sledge. We Are Family. She sings Sister Sledge, and she sings We Are Family, which is a gay iconic song, for the gay community. And he was jumping up and down and hugging her. And we invited her on our show the next week, and she came on our show and we became friends. And then she invited us to see her play in a play in New York. And so we went and saw her play in New York and we became friends. But that's the only time I've ever seen him fan out, ever. And we've been together almost 10 years and I've never seen him fan out. And we meet really big people.
We went to Below 54, which is a nightclub in New York. So we went to see Cathy Sledge. Now, after that, there was an after party, and I walked out. She was in the room, and I walked over to her, and I just got so excited that I began to jump up and down, and I said, "Oh my God, Cathy Sledge, I love you, I love you!" And I'm yelling, "Jimmy, get over here with the camera! I want pictures of me and Cathy Sledge." And she was looking at me like I was crazy, and I grabbed her and I hugged her and I kissed her. I said, "I can't tell you how much you mean to me. Your song, We Are Family, has been a gay song for all of us to," and I went on, and she started to cry. She had tears in her eyes. She hugged me, and then we went outside under a lamp, street light, and I interviewed her on film. And Cathy Sledge has become a very dear friend of ours, mine. We were living in Pennsylvania for a few years, and she lived in the next town from us. So I invited her and her husband for dinner, and she said, "Do you mind if I bring Patti LaBelle?" Well, I almost went out the window. I said, "Mind? I adore, love, and worship Patti LaBelle." But as it turned out, Jimmy and I were told that we had to leave Pennsylvania to come to California because of our station was losing its tower on the east. So we were being transmitted through Florida. So we moved back to Palm Springs, and I never got to meet LaBelle.
Darn it.
I will because she knows about me and she knows I want to meet her.
So is that song so special because it's about kind of choosing your own family if your first family rejects you based on disagreeing with your lifestyle or whatnot?
Well, I think it can be interpreted that way. I think the gay community just kind of like adapted it for that reason. I don't know that that's because we are family, all my brothers and sisters and me. I don't exactly know about the original song if it was meant to be that way, but that's the way the gay community basically has interpreted it, and it's played all over the place. Like this is Pride Month, so it's played all over the place for Pride Month, and it has like a significant meaning. And she's super nice. You know, we've met her. We met Cathy Sledge. We met her sister. Let's see. Oh shoot, I forgot her name. But we've met all the ones that are still alive. We've met them all, and they're all fantastic. And so it's really nice, and it's a significant song, and like not and everybody knows the song. You know, even like young people know, like because you've heard it. So it's kind of like one of those songs that you have to have heard. Everybody's heard it. And she's Cathy, and she was super nice, and it was fun. And she was our very first guest for our very first televised Jimmy Star show with Ron Russell, the first one we did on video.
Very cool. It's so true that like everybody's heard it. That I grew up in an evangelical bubble, and I'd be from when I was like 8 years old, and we only listened to Christian music and stuff. But I still have heard that song.
That's funny because my sister's extremely religious, and so she basically only. But like, there's a lot of Christian artists. Like I used to always listen to Michael W. Smith. You know who Michael W. Smith? Like I think Michael W. Smith could have been like if he was a mainstream artist, he would have been like a Rick Springfield or something. He would have been huge.
Oh yeah.
So I've listened to a lot of that music because of my sister growing up, and it's really good. People should actually give it an opportunity. Amy Grant, I used to listen to Amy Grant all the time too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's been a journey on this in my heart of deconstructing so many of the harmful things that I learned there in the purity culture and the anti-gay and anti-trans stuff. And I have a video on my YouTube channel that the Bible isn't actually anti-LGBTQ and for Trans Day of Visibility. And I want to do more. I want to have more conversations to shed light and hopefully encourage other people that are still trapped and thinking that they need to be judgmental to say, no, just love people. That's what we're supposed to do.
That's what we're supposed to do, but it doesn't seem to work that way, at least not here in America.
What is Jimmy proud of?
Who he is and his name. Jimmy is a very proud man, extremely proud, because he's a decent man. He has much to be proud of. He doesn't behave improperly. He's a good guy. Everybody loves him. He'll help you if he can. He's got a big heart. He's generous. He's giving. So yeah, he rightfully so. He's very proud of himself.
And what are you proud of?
My two daughters, who are absolutely stunningly beautiful. My daughter Leslie was first runner-up in Miss America.
Oh,
my
wow.
My daughter Deirdre's an actress and has made quite a few films and is stunningly beautiful. Leslie looks like Michelle Pfeiffer and Grace Kelly. She's a green-eyed blonde, and Deirdre's a fire-kicking redhead who looks like what's her name? Another beautiful actress. I can't think of her name. One I like, the one that in the runaway bus. She was in the bus with Keanu Reeves, and the bus was running away.
Sandra Bullock?
Yes, Sandra Bullock. Good for you. So I've got two beautiful daughters who love me dearly. They're so good to Daddy. They live 10 minutes from my house. We play every Monday. We have dinner at each other's houses. We play dominoes or we play mahjong.
That's so
We're
wonderful.
very close. And I'm very proud of my kids. You know, they want to live near me now because they realize at my age, you know, you don't know when, and they want to be with me as much as they can,
Yeah, totally.
which is very sweet.
Living in the moment, making the most of each day.
Absolutely. Yes, live in that moment. I believe in it so totally.
What is Ron proud of?
What is Ron proud of? I think he's proud of his daughters. I think he's proud of his longevity in life and the fact that, you know, he's 81, he's still working. You know, we have a bunch of movies. I think he's got 6 movies, you know, coming up that he's going to be in. We have a premiere on Saturday. I think he's proud that he's maintained his looks. You know, at 81, you know, if you look at other 81-year-olds, most of them look like they're falling apart and they can't barely, you know, walk. So he's a very young 81. He's really like a 60 or a 50 or 60-year-old in an 81-year-old's body. And I think, though, he's probably most proud of his like family and his daughters and you know, like all the Hollywood stuff is fun, but let's face it, it's not like really real. It's kind of like a fantasy world. We live in a fantasy world, you know, where everybody thinks it's like wonderful, but the behind the scenes isn't as wonderful as everybody thinks it is. There's lots of backstabbing and people don't like each other and talking bad about each other. And we stay away from all of that because we don't, you know, we're in it for the fun. You don't make that much money, you know, making the B movies that we make. If you make an A-list movie, you make a lot of money, but with the little movies that we're in, you don't make enough money to let any of that kind of stuff stress you out. You know, you go and you do it for the fun of it. Not because you're expecting to like buy a Mercedes from it. I want to produce blockbusters. Not like right now I'm doing films in the $1 to $4 million range, but I want to do, you know, $50 million blockbusters. Put them all together. Kind of like I'd like to be like the producer working with Steven Spielberg or somebody really big, you know, where I put the whole thing together. And maybe that's going to happen. I have 2 films that just got brought to me. We'll find out. But we're looking. One's 27 million and one's 15 million, so that would be a jump for me.
Yeah,
so we'll see if it works out.
Just a bit of a jump.
But I would like to be able to do that. Really, if I could have any dream at all, I would like to. My dream would be to be a well-known enough producer that when I wanted to book an actor for a movie, let's say I wanted to get. I always use Charlize Theron as an example just because she's like my favorite. I would like to be able to call William Morris or whoever her agent is and have them actually take the call, you know, and talk to me or and get her on the phone so we could talk about a project. I would like my producer credits to be good enough that I don't have to send 50 emails and 50 phone calls just hoping that they're going to call me back, you know, because if you're trying to get a big celebrity, unless you have the money in the bank, they don't call you back. If you call them up and say, I have an offer, here's $10 million to bring her in, they might talk to you. But even then, they don't always talk to you. It's very difficult.
Do you have to
like
pay,
beg?
Like just for them to like read the script?
Not usually, but most of the time you have to like say that you have the money in the bank. You have to show that you've got the money to pay them if they accept the role. Wow. You know, and those people make a lot of money. So it's not really easy. That's why I try to meet as many celebrities as I can, because that way I can go to them directly and say, hey, I'm working on this film. You know, I'd love to have you in this film. I realize that I have to go to your agent to make, you know, the negotiations, but can you look at it first and tell me if you're even interested? Because if you're not even interested, I don't want to have to try to go. And then if they're interested, they'll say yes. And they'll tell the agent when he calls, take the call. Mm-hmm. But otherwise you can't get through. Like I've made offers for people that I thought were phenomenal offers. I don't want to like say who, because I don't want to make, but I mean, I had one actor that I needed him for one day to do voiceover work in a film. And I offered him $500,000 for the day. And he told me he doesn't get out of bed for under $3 million.
Trust me, I can guarantee that person is not going to watch this video.
And then I had another one where I offered $3 million for 10 days. I needed him to work on the set for 10 days of a film. And I offered $3 million and they said no, I wasn't enough money. And that's a lot of money. It's really a lot of money. And we had the money for that one in the bank. So
this world is incomprehensible to me. When I was an actor for 12 years, we were volunteers. We were doing it for the love of the craft and for wanting to encourage people. And it's so hard to imagine that happening. I would be thrilled to be offered $100,
because it's never going to happen unless you do a lot bigger things. That's why I became a producer, actually, because producing the film is putting the whole thing together. So I put the whole thing together. I get the cast and the locations and make sure it's all meets all the regulations and requirements and all the things that you do. And that, even though it's not as prestigious as being the star of it, you actually make more money producing than you do as an actor. Unless you're like Charlize Theron or some A-list superstar, but in the level of films that we make, the producers do better than the actors.
Huh. Interesting. It's one of my dreams to someday be on a movie set, just to have the experience. I wouldn't care if I was running around handing coffee to people. Just being around it all would be so fun. Of course, I'd love to act. I love acting. I miss acting sometimes so bad. I was a professional actor for 12 years with a theater company. We traveled on the road, lived on the road, and I was on 3 different continents and 26 different countries.
Good for you. So you just got to take it from the theater to the screen. Yeah. We actually had a big theater, Broadway. We had a big Broadway star on our show 2 weeks ago, Adam Jacobson. He was the original Aladdin in Aladdin on Broadway, and he was Simba in The Lion King on Broadway, and he was amazing. What a great time we had with him. But I say it'll come back around. Maybe right now you can't do it because you've got your children and you have to be a mom and take care of your children, but it'll come back around again, because Ron used to do films and then he had to stop to take care of his children, and now in his late 70s and early 80s he's getting all kinds of work. So it'll come. What goes around, it'll come around, and will have another opportunity. Yeah.
Well, I've never had one opportunity for anything to do with a camera, so yeah, it's a fun thing, but I'm also a bit out of the way on Gotland, this little island of Sweden.
That's okay.
Maybe you can produce a movie on Gotland.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe a cool horror movie or something. I like horror movies, so. Cool. Hey, you never know. I'm open to anything.
Look at a great death scene.
Yes.
If you're still here and you want some more, there's more. I asked a lot more fun questions and had a really great time. Thanks for being here. I have had so many wonderful conversations thanks to Jimmy and Eileen and a bunch of people that I've booked myself, authors, artists, fellow YouTubers, people who've created beautiful things, and people who have really helped me in my deconstruction journey. Really wonderful times I've had on this channel. I also do vlogs over here, and I put a lot of heart, soul, humor, and authenticity into them, and I'd love for you to check those videos out as well. I hope that you will subscribe, check out some of my old conversations, stick around for new ones that I've got coming up, because I talk to some amazing people. I think I already said that, but oh well, this is the end of the video. Not that many people even stick around to this point. If you're still here, thank you. I appreciate you. Hugs. Nostrils of death.